Well, now I've managed to see the entire race as well. And by the way, great points from both of you. 27 minutes just flew by there. It was fantastic and flowing. I want to compliment you straight off the bat there with some great points. I've had a chance now to sit down and watch the whole race. Yesterday, of course, as many of you know, my internet wasn't working, so I wasn't able to watch the entirety of the race. I've now seen everything. I've listened to all the reports and all the interviews as well. And I've got to agree with both of you as well. It was premeditated in my books as well. If this was a trial in the High Court as well, he'd be facing a couple of years in prison because it was so intentional as well. Michael Schumacher has called Bubba Wallace and has said, too obvious. Michael knew how to do it where it's just controversial, not where it's literally headline that you did it on purpose. Coming out of turn 4 as well, why did he stay on the outside line? Yes, we had his teammate or factory teammate on the low line as well, and Larson was stuck in the middle. Larson was always going to drift up high. That's always going to be the key. Why Bubba Wallace stayed on the outside line, I don't know. And he pushed it so much that he sort of accelerated harder and got up higher and sort of put himself into the wall. That made the contact with Larson. Then Larson managed to get away just a bit and it comes down and bang! Bubba did it on purpose. Everyone says in the commentary as well, oh, well, maybe he didn't have steering, maybe this and that. No, the front suspension wasn't damaged. Bubba had full steering in that instance. He aimed that car. You can see him also jink the wheel towards him coming down the pit road. Bubba did that 100% on purpose. And then what made it worse as well after the hit, which was a fairly heavy hit for the pair of them, gets out the car, and as you said, Brandon, as well, walking ever so slowly up with his helmet in one hand.
I knew right
as
where he was
well.
going. I was like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
The commentators even knew because they went silent. They knew this would be the clip that went around the world as well, a picture worth $1,000. Literally, they went silent. They got all the camera angles on it. Bubba drops, he's already shouting at this point as well, drops his helmet to the floor and then gets all physical, gets all pushy. That alone is worth a suspension. You should never, ever throw hands. Bubba Wallace, of all people, who stood up and said violence isn't the answer as well. Everything. He was such a forefront with the Black Lives Matter process as well. Violence isn't the answer. Let's all live in peace. He's now the one throwing hands as well. And people have been saying, as you said as well, Ben, you can't hide behind the racism card anymore. This is not about racism. When Bubba Wallace won, either coming with this year or last year as well, everybody on this show and around the motorsport world was like, finally, that is the kind of talent we've all seen in him. That's the guy he can be. This is the speed he's got. Finally, he's so well deserving of a win. But we can't forget that he is also a driver that makes mistakes and also has a really bad time of it when he gets in a mood as well. He is a volatile driver. We can't forget mistakes in the past as well when he's still making them in the present. And we also can't treat him with kid gloves because if we say anything controversial, people are going to jump on us and say, oh, well, you're only saying that because he's black. No, because we've been saying it for decades about when he's been racing. We've been saying it about other drivers as well. We've been holding everybody accountable when it's deliberate wrecks. As you said, I came on the podcast on July 4th, Independence Weekend as well, and said about how this can't happen. Intentional wrecks cannot happen. They are going to get someone killed. With this generation of car being so uncertain and so delicate as well, we can't then go out and hit each other. We can't go out and put other people in deliberate lines of fire. It shouldn't happen. It doesn't work. And also, I don't like how he was all of a sudden, he was sort of like he was a different person. It was like the Hulk had taken over as well. The red mist has sort of descended over, or the green mist if he's the Hulk. He was a different person. He was shoving Larson. He was shoving the ARCA officials as well. He'd just been in a heavy hit. He had to go to the medical centre. He walked across a live pit road as well. God forbid you do that in a race car. You go across the track in a live pit lane. You get fined and sent back to the back. How is he allowed to keep getting away with this? Because if you even mention anything negative about him, everybody on social media, online as well, they jump on the fact, oh, it's because he's black. It's not. It's because he can't be allowed to get away with the actions he's doing behind a race car. It's just so bizarre that the way the world is right now, And it's almost like the NASCAR officials are scared to make the move because of social media and because of keyboard warriors' decisions online. It's a sad time for sport as well. And as you said, it's not just NASCAR. We've had it in IndyCar. We've had it in Formula One, of course, most notably with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton as well. Poor Max Verstappen can't even win a world title without the FIA making some errors. And then everybody jumping online this morning. F1 financial doping was trending on Twitter, or F1's instinct doping, whatever it is, because Red Bull have gone over in the cost cap. Max has won this year's title completely fair and square, and yet people still don't accept him as a double world champion. They say now he's got 2 asterisks. It's not right. It's just getting too much now as to when do we call it off? When do we say the officials must take these rules to protect the drivers and to protect all those involved? And if social media and the fans of the sport don't like it, tough. These are the tough calls that the officials are there to do. This is not a social media championship. This is a motorsport with money on the line for people who work in the cars, outside the cars, teams, factories, sponsors, everything. This is a business at the end of the day, and it is a sport. And sport has rules, and sport has to have respect. As we talked about yesterday, at the moment, respect is at an all-time low across all forms of motorsport. And at the moment as well, it is the social media trolls that are sort of ruling what we do and what we don't do in motorsport. And it is getting to a dark, dark time. And to add final thought on this, if I was the NASCAR officials, yeah, I would be scared to punish Bubba Wallace because of the negative impact you could have on the brand. But you've got to weigh it. Negative impact of letting drivers keep getting away with things like this, keep getting away with deliberate wrecks. Where does it end? I'll tell you where it ends. A driver, dead. A marshal, dead. Somebody on the pit road, dead. You can't let it get that far. It's the same reason I had to go at the FIA with Pierre Gasly after that incident with the marshals on the track. You have to put safety at the top priority of everything. And for a deliberate crash to be allowed to happen and get away scot-free, that just sends the wrong message to everybody. And you'll get a lot more deliberate wrecks in motorsport. Stamp it out hard. Bubba Wallace said to all of us, racism has no part in sport. Stamp it out. Get rid of it. Well, deliberate wrecks has no place in motorsport. Respect is the only thing that needs to be in there. Things like this, bad sportsmanship, that also needs to be stamped out.
Fully agree.
Absolutely. Josh, you brought up a lot of good points, and I think, again, what happened after the wreck as well with the fight and, of course, the interview, and I want to echo what Brandon said as well. Marty Snyder is an absolute pro and, did his job as well as he could have in that situation and handled it as well as he could have in that situation. I do want to break some news here. Bubba Wallace just a few minutes ago tweeted out an apology titled A Reflection, and he says, I want to apologize for my actions on Sunday following the on-track incident with Kyle Larson and the number 5 car. My behavior does not align with the core values that are shared by 23XI Racing and our partners who have played a crucial role in my incredible journey to the top of this great sport. I want to apologize to NASCAR and the fans, along with Christopher Bell, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Toyota, for putting them in a situation in the playoffs that they do not deserve. I compete with immense passion, and with passion at times comes frustration. Upon reflecting, I should have represented our partners and core team values better than I did by letting my frustrations follow me outside of the car. You live and learn, and I intend to learn from this. And that is from Bubba Wallace just a few minutes ago on Twitter. And let's be completely fair. He owned it. He apologized and sent that out. I think that's the first step in the road to reflection right there. And I think we should commend him for that.
That just made my day. He's watching the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just made my day. But as much as apologies are a great piece of it, the repercussions, I mean, they still have to follow. But I'm really, really glad that he's put this out. And whether it was a 23XI, like, come on, do it, or him actually doing it himself is something we'll probably never know. But still, it's good to have that from him.
I wonder how many sponsors had phone calls this morning saying we're pulling out, and how much pressure was there. Yeah, that doesn't seem. That seems too much of a press thing there. But at least it's been put out, and we have to take it at face value. It's very good that he's done that as well. It is the first step, but if your child does something wrong and apologizes, you still got to go through with the punishment. You can't just then, because then
No
it'll
doubt.
because then you just do it again and say sorry.
This is how you look
Got
at
to
it.
go through
So you're in a courtroom, right? And then the judge says, "Well, you got this stack of speeding fines here," and you go, "Well, I'm really sorry." And he goes, "Well, you better be sorry. There's still judgment coming for you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good that he's accepted his own thing. Maybe he'll get a lesser sentence. I say that like it is a courtroom. Maybe his punishment will be less because he's acknowledged his wrongdoing and put out that apology. I think what he's trying to do there, and the team are trying to avoid a suspension, because I think they know that's possible. So by that, I've got a feeling fine, grid penalty points deduction are more likely now than a suspension, which I still think sends the wrong message. I think they've got to go draconian on this. They've got to go very harsh and say, this can't happen. You're parked.
In a perfect world.
Yeah. But
Unfortunately,
NASCAR's far
it's
from
skewed.
it.
It's very skewed.
Yeah. Well, and I just, again, Brandon, I'm not sure if you tweeted it or just put it in our chat or whatever, but I know you just listed everybody off. You said you felt bad for Bubba and for Kyle and for, the team and his sponsors and the fans and everybody. And I completely agree with that sentiment. And I just think it's so unfortunate, because if this had been, say, Kyle Busch and, well, maybe Kyle Busch isn't the best example, but Chris Buescher and
William Byron.
William Byron. There you go. I mean, if the exact same thing had happened, it might have, gotten a couple of hits and people might have picked it up, but it would not have gotten near the amount of mainstream press that this has gotten.
Yeah, it's like, not these two. Come on.
I mean, not even that it's Bubba Wallace. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but you're just, it's inextricably linked with him now. What happened with Kyle Larson, that same, time period. The fact that it was not just that it was Bubba Wallace, the fact that it was Kyle Larson as well. And, the fact that I made this my Grid One shining moment for a year last year. The fact that the two of them up until now, I hope that they're able to put this behind them. But, the fact that they're golfing buddies, the fact that they seem to have a very good relationship. And, I just think that that's so beautiful. And I think it's something that their fan bases could learn a lot from, because, I mean, you guys know how the Facebook comments are anytime they mention his name, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. And I hate that he has to put up with it. And I want to say, I'm well aware he has been very open, Bubba has, about his battles with depression and anxiety and all those things. And, I completely respect his willingness to be open about that. At the same time, it doesn't excuse, the actions like what he did on Sunday. It doesn't excuse, throwing the, Powerade on Alex Bowman with Jeff Gordon there, or whatever that was. I think 2019 at the Roval, if I recall correctly. But, I mean, I think I understand that he has been through a lot, and it's like he said in his own statement right there. It's an incredible story of what he has accomplished and what he's going to accomplish, because he is going to come back from this. He's going to be in the sport for a long time. He's only going to continue to get better. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a very, very unfortunate situation on all fronts that it happened to be these two during the playoffs at a time where, things were, able to get picked up by people that don't normally tweet about NASCAR, but normally tweet about politics, that left out important context, that were going to spin it their way. And, anytime Fox News or CNN tries to cover this sport 999 times out of 1,000, they get it completely wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's just a very unfortunate situation. But I'm glad he sent the apology out, and I hope that that's the first step in letting the dust settle. I don't think he gets away without some sort of penalty or fine or whatever, but let's move along. Let's learn from this. Let's put it behind us, and let's take that step forward.